guys, here come the dollies. They got fresh sinkers, hot coffee, and the sweetest smile.
Welcome back to the Clubmobile, everybody. We're so happy to have you joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
We going old-fashioned again. Just me and Winnie. Just hanging out.
It's just us again.
It's just us. If you were expecting a third party, sorry, not this time.
Yeah, I don't think with this one, even if the third party was available, I don't think I would want the third party to be available for this specific
I don't think so.
this subject.
This is a little different than our typical usual subjects. But no less important to the history of women during a time in war. So today we're going to be talking about Eva Braun.
Yeah, this one's going to be kind of
pause for dramatic reaction, right?
Yeah, pause for effect.
Pause for effect.
This one's very difficult to kind of it's not difficult to talk about in a sense of, the facts are all there. It's difficult morally because there is nothing saying publicly or outwardly that she was an evil person, but she happened to be obsessed with the most evil man alive.
It's difficult to grasp in the sense of the why, right?
Yeah.
Not
absolutely.
So much the what of what she, or the who of what she was and who she was and what she did, but the why. Like, why did she find herself so obsessed and attached to somebody who was essentially tearing the world apart or attempting to tear the world apart limb by limb?
Yeah, it's very difficult because there's nothing saying publicly that she was an evil person, she was a bad person.
Or that she committed any sort of evil act.
Yeah, no. Like at some point it's guilt by association.
Yes, I was just going to say. Or evil by association, yes.
Yeah. While we were going through the research, there was a question I wrote down. And it was she morally culpable or was she a childlike innocent? Because from accounts of other people post-war, they were saying that she was kind of harebrained, very ditzy.
Yeah.
She was not politically inclined, but she was introduced into these circles. And Hitler kept her a secret for so many years, to the point where he borderline arranged a marriage between two members of his circle so that he could introduce her as, oh, this is so-and-so sister-in-law.
It was a member of his circle and her sister.
Yeah.
Just so that he could bring her around without feeling any sort of guilt. And that's the thing that gets me. Of everything he did, that's what would have made him feel guilty? Guilt?
Yeah.
So this is definitely one of those morally questionable type of people. And it's me personally, I can't wrap my head around it. I'm like, why would you do that?
Like, for example, when we spoke about Axis Sally.
Yes.
We knew right off the bat, evil.
Bad. Even looking at her photos, right, to do the edits and stuff, I was like, as soon as we can get this out, as soon as I want to delete it all from my phone, because I feel like it's just, she's very evil. I don't want any of that.
She had an evil look in her eye, whereas
she did.
Whereas some of the stuff because Eva Braun was a photographer and a videographer is what we call it now.
Yeah.
There's a certain, this is really bad to say, there's a certain whimsy about it. There's a certain, like, if you were not told that these people were Nazi party members, you'd be like, oh, it's just a group of guys having fun and someone's recording them.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's odd. I'd like to go back to the very, very beginning and talk a little bit about her life pre-Hitler. So she was born in February of 1912. She was born Eva Anna Paul Braun. I don't know where the Paul comes from. I think it was just a name.
Maybe a family name.
Yeah, I think so. She was born in Munich and was the second child of her parents, Friedrich and Fanny. What a name. I believe Friedrich was an engineer. Anyway, her parents divorced in 1921, but then they remarried in 1922 because of financial issues.
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of on the heels of the Depression at that point, but I don't know if that actually transcended into Munich, right? The Great
I'm not
Depression. I
entirely
don't
sure.
believe it did. But again, they're on the heels of what was the First War, the Great War.
Yes, exactly. So I think when they divorced, obviously women could not go out to work,
Hmm.
especially women from this time period. They were expected to go to church, go
Yeah,
home,
and raise their
have
kids.
babies, raise their kids. Exactly. So to help her parents financially, at the age of 17, in 1929, Ava took a job as an assistant and model for the official Nazi Party photographer Heinrich Hoffmann. And it was through him she met Hitler. And apparently, when they met, it wasn't an instant attraction. It was more that she stroked his ego and he stroked hers. But she was so young.
I
She was
can't see any
17.
sort of physical attraction at all.
No,
I mean,
absolutely
when you
not.
look at photos of men from the 40s, from the war,
You're like,
and
oh,
you're like,
he's very handsome.
he's very handsome, or you're like, or you say, yeah, I know he was a horrible SOB, right? But he wasn't a bad looking
Yeah,
guy.
right. Exactly.
Sorry, Adolf Hitler had two strikes against him. He was a horrible SOB and he was a bad looking guy.
Correct. That mustache did nothing for him.
He was a bad looking
Just
guy.
don't. He
Not sure
was
what was going on in Ava's mind at that point.
apparently it was the fact that they knew how to make each other feel better and how to,
Mm.
we would say, lift each other up, but this is a bad way of doing it. At the time, Hitler was 40 when they met. She was 17
Jesus.
and he was 40. So he was 23 years older. And then this is when it kind of gets a bit iffy. Like at the very beginning, I said, was she morally culpable or was she just kind of not all there?
Right.
Like
Was
she
it just
brought her,
natural innocence?
yeah, she brought her family into the fold as well. So her younger sister Gretel also worked for Hoffman from 1932, and they rented a flat together. But that flat was paid for by Hitler. Yeah, he kept her really secluded, and he
He
kept her
did.
a secret.
And I was very like not surprised, but also a
Yeah.
bit around this time is when she started dyeing her hair to achieve
Mm.
a particular shade of blonde,
Yeah, particular shade
a
is what stood
very
out to me.
specific shade of blonde.
Yeah. Hmm. So it's 1929, and they meet at Hoffman's studio in Munich. Like I said, Hitler was 40, she was 17. When they met, I know that he was unbothered. He didn't care because he
Right.
was living with his niece. And apparently they were involved in no way a niece and uncle should be involved.
She
Like they
was
were obsessed.
his half niece. I guess at the time the half made it okay.
Apparently.
But she was his half niece, and
Yeah.
even irregardless, to be involved in a
They
particular
were
way like that.
involved in a particular way in which a niece and an uncle should not be involved, and they were obsessed with each other. And while on a trip to Nuremberg, his half niece was found dead with a self inflicted gunshot to the chest, and she had done it with Hitler's own pistol. Hitler was, of course, devastated, but it was only after then that event that he then became infatuated
Obsessed.
with Braun.
Yes.
So it seems that Ava Braun was like the biggest rebound in history. So she's obsessed with this man. He is unbothered until the person that he's in love with, ew, is has now died by her own
Correct.
hand and by his pistol. They were not together until this event took place.
No,
He kept
it's
her
almost
at arm's
like,
length.
yeah, he kept her at arm's length, but then it's also as if he said, like, he saw something in Ava that mirrored his niece.
Yeah, yeah. I think it
Which
was
then
her
begs the
being young.
question, what was the particular shade of blonde?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Right?
it was either the shade of blonde of the niece's hair, and I think it was also the shade of blonde that of the Aryan
Yes.
race.
I would venture a very well-educated guess to say it was
Yeah,
one of the two, or it
or
was
both,
a
or
combination.
both. Yes, because it lines up. Like in
Exactly.
1932, the niece has killed herself, and then in 32 onwards, Ava's dyeing her hair. He kept Ava at an arm's length, though, like to the point she was so obsessed with him, and he would not give her the attention she wanted that she attempted suicide multiple times for attention. They were both as batshit as each other, truly. It's the best way I could put it. They were both insane.
After her recovery from this attempted suicide, he then commits himself to her.
Yeah, and they become
secret lovers. So you know she's nuts. This is the one I want. But he's also
not right.
No.
So the reason why he gave her this apartment, this villa, was that he could keep an eye on her and make sure that she did not attempt suicide again.
And he put her sister Gretel up in the apartment and the villa with her.
Yeah, because they both worked for Heinrich Hoffmann, who I mentioned up above. They had a very odd, like, power dynamic. He wasn't introduced to her as Hitler. He was introduced to her as Herr Wolf. So that's what she called him. She called him that forever. Herr Wolf, Mr. Wolf. It's a very odd, of course it's going to be odd. It's Hitler. Of course it's going to be an odd. But no, she attempted suicide multiple times. Like, there was
just to get his attention.
Yeah, there was one attempt where she, with her own father's pistol, and then historians bidded that as an unserious attempt on her life. She was doing it for attention.
None of them were serious. She wanted him to, he was very, look at me, look at me.
Yeah. And then in 1935, she took a dose of sleeping pills, which at that point they called sleeping powder, which she had purchased herself. And she took an overdose of those because Hitler was not making time for her in his life.
Because, you know, he was too busy at the top of the Axis powers.
He was
too busy trying to rip the world apart. So she decides, let me just try and kill myself.
Yeah.
A third or fourth time.
This is, again, where it gets a bit, I mean, the whole thing is iffy, but right at the beginning, as I mentioned, was she morally culpable? Was she just harebrained? She became his private secretary. He made her his private secretary, but it wasn't a serious role. He put her in there so she could have a job title.
Right.
Just so she could sneak into his office. Like, she had a certain door she could go through and certain stairs she could take without being seen. So he just kept, again, he kept
right. After all this, she moves into his residence at Berchtesgaden.
Yep.
And he gives her this position as private secretary just so that he could say, like, you know, okay, you're closer now. I can see you, you can see me.
Yeah. But then at this point she's in all of these, you know, circles with the Nazi party, and she's in these rooms obviously that are full of political men.
And she has no interest in politics at all.
No interest in politics. She has no interest in what they're saying or what they're doing. She is just there for him. She was not an official member of the party. So despite holding the position of private secretary
to Adolf Hitler, you're not an official member of the Nazi party. Make that make sense. To me, that doesn't make sense. So you're sleeping with the man. You're his official secretary, you're his private secretary.
Yep.
But you're not an official member of the Nazi party. Nope. And you're in these rooms with all of the highest members of the Third Reich. But no, don't worry, she's not an official member of the Nazi party.
About it. Like, to the point where she was ushered away from political conversation.
And it was said that back then women had no place in politics, especially if, I mean, he certainly believed women had no place in politics.
Ushered away from the conversation. And historians have said that she wasn't really bothered by that. She was like, okay, yep, this is fine. Heinrich Hoffmann described Braun's outlook on politics as feather-brained and inconsequential.
I would describe her as feather-brained and inconsequential.
She absolutely was.
I mean,
she was sort of, you know, there's memes where it's like, oh, I'm just a girl. And
that's literally the definition of her. She was like, I'm just a girl with a massive crush.
It's like borderline, I say borderline.
It's obsession. It's obsession.
It's crazy. So the borderline arranged marriage I mentioned was between Braun's sister Gretel, and she married a man called I'm going to butcher this man's name, Hermann Feiglin. He served as Himmler's liaison for Hitler's stuff, and Hitler used this marriage as an excuse to have Braun appear at official functions, not as, oh, here's my partner. It was so he could introduce her as
Feiglin's sister-in-law.
Feigelin's sister-in-law.
And not, this is my secret lover who's 20-something years younger than me.
Yeah, 23 years younger. He never officially introduces her. But everyone knows who she is. Everyone knows what they're up to. But he keeps her at this arm's length, and I think if anything, it just fed the obsession. It feeds the obsession for her, because she's like, oh, he's giving me a moment of his time. He's giving me a few minutes out of his day. Oh my God, it's finally working. And like, while I was not in a relationship with someone who committed genocide, I've been in such a relationship where it's like, oh, he gave me a second. Oh, woo.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful, but
it is.
I don't feel sorry for her.
Yeah, you look back on it and you're like, why would I do that? Why did I do that, right?
And I don't feel sorry for this woman. Because she knew what she was getting into. She knew what he was capable of.
I mean, at that point, right? At that stage in the game.
Yeah.
Right? It's 1944.
Yeah.
Her sister married Hermann Feiglin 3 days before D-Day, June 3rd of 44. You know what's happening in the world, right? Whether you're in the room with the politics, whether you're disinterested in the politics, you can't be that self-absorbed. You can't be that self-absorbed that you're not aware of what is going on around you and in the world, and the man that you are so obsessed with is doing, that you don't realize something's wrong.
Yeah. This is when it's hard to pin down where she was on his level. They would not have fallen in love. I say they, but I hate the fact there is nothing publicly saying that she was also evil, because she did not technically commit an evil act apart from marrying this evil man who committed genocide.
You were the private secretary of the most evil man in history. Sorry, I wouldn't even go with evil by association. You're just plain evil. Plain evil. You have to be an evil person or have a bad streak in you to allow yourself to associate with somebody that is as evil as that. The same goes for today. Like, you have to be, how self-absorbed, right? Or lack of self-awareness. How much lack of self-awareness do you have to have that you know somebody is bad? And you're like, but he's got a job opening. Yeah. And it's good. You could tell me it was a $200,000 salary, and I'd say he's a real piece of shit. No, thank you. Horrible. Right? No, thank you.
Absolutely not. Like, there was obviously there's so many of the memes now. I'm just a girl. There's another one. I could fix him, and I feel like she was very much.
I can fix him.
I can fix him.
I think she's the original. I would say she might be the original pick me girl.
I think you might be correct. Truly, she must have. Yeah. Absolutely, she was.
She's the original pick-me girl, and probably the most strange rebound ever.
The most famous rebound in history, because he wasn't bothered about her until his lover / niece killed herself. Gag. When you think it can't get any weirder, you find out that he's actually having a love affair with his half niece. I'm going to admit the half, because it's still. And she was so much younger than him too. And it seems that he liked younger women so that he could mold them and
that's exactly what it is. I could fit them into this box and make them do what I want. Make them do what I want.
While she may not have been on his level initially, he molded her enough to put her on his level.
Absolutely.
So he messed with her mind, but then again, she knows no one can be that dumb to not look outside the window and not know what is going on in the world, and to not read the newspaper and to not listen to the radio. There is no way that she was like, oh no, I don't know what he's doing. Are you
I have
serious?
no
He's
idea what
committed
he does. I'm
genocide.
so disinterested in politics. I have no idea what he does. Oh,
Hair
oh,
flick,
the
hair
the, the
flick.
Americans and the English are knocking down the door, but I have no idea
Oh,
why. Right? I have
but I
no
have
idea
no
why.
idea. So he kept her at this arm's length and refused to say who she was, to the point where he arranged a marriage between her sister and one of his closest co-workers,
Mm,
just to say, oh, this is his sister-in-law,
right.
not my
Secret lover.
intended, not my
Right. Not my
partner, not my
secret
lover.
lover, not
Yeah,
my romantic partner. I mean,
yeah,
God forbid you introduce the smart move would have been, oh, this is my secretary.
yeah.
Jumping
Why are
through
we
hoops.
going? Why are
Why
we
are we being
going
so
even
extra?
further?
Right? Being
Then
so
again, you have
extra.
to. Then again, you have to realize that people who are this insane do not think logically.
No,
This was not a logical thought,
not at all.
because he was insane. And she was also insane for going along with it. But then again, he had put her on his level at such speed that I don't think she cared. She was just like, oh, I'm in the room with him and I can see
Hmm.
him. And that makes me so happy. Yeah.
So
Insane.
he marries her sister off to Herman Feiglin, and now he's got Ava in the room where this is Feiglin's sister-in-law. In
Yes.
April of 45, Braun
Yeah.
travels back to Berlin from Munich to be with Hitler. This is just as the Russians are closing in on the capital. She
Yeah.
refuses to leave.
Yep. I believe he tries to send her away. And I believe a lot of the other party members were trying to usher her away so that he
Hmm.
could figure out his next steps.
And she
And
refuses to leave him.
yeah.
So end of April of 45, April 29th, they marry in a small civil ceremony in his bunker.
I'm not sure how they came to this conclusion, because he had kept her a secret for so long. I'm not sure why at this point they married. Obviously it was in death that they could be husband and wife, but he was so disinterested
Yeah.
that I'm not sure how that decision came about.
Could have just been to
This
play. I mean, maybe he knew what his final
maybe
move was and it was to placate her.
maybe it's
But
again, it's never publicly
it's
said,
never,
or it's
yeah,
never.
it's never publicly,
This is such a cut and dry. Like, she meets him, she
yeah.
works for Hoffman, she's obsessed with him, she dies with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the stories where I wished we had more meat around the bones, because she's spoken about very step one, step two, step three, step four, which is, part of me is like, that's what she deserves. She deserves to
Yeah.
not have the splendor and the gift of having this wonderful, wonderful
Yeah.
story, this great story told about her and its tragedy, and it's gonna, stick with history forever. But another part is, because we speak about these people, I wanted there to be so much more.
Yeah.
And even though she was a terrible, terrible person for even being attracted to this man, knowing what is going on in his head, I wish we had more, because one of our things is that men are always going to overtake a woman's story.
Yeah.
And I think it should go for even these bad stories. We had more meat on Axis Sally, and there was a man involved with
Yeah.
that. We had more meat around those bones. This is one of the most famous women. Infamous, I would say. She's famous for the wrong reasons.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yet every story is cut and dry. And every story is, I don't know. No one knows, but they know all
The
about him.
answers, well, it's one of those cases where the answers to the questions died with her and
Yeah.
Hitler.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good
Because
question.
when it comes to people being taught this in the future, there's going to be nothing. And I know that we've made it our mission to tell good and bad stories. And I hate the fact
It's
that,
because
even though,
there
yes,
was good and bad sides of the war.
yeah, exactly. I
But
hate
it's
the
very
fact that,
difficult when you can't find all the pieces or there are no other
yeah,
pieces. Like you've got all the pieces available to you. It's very difficult, but it's
yeah,
still
it's
important that we
hard.
did it.
It's still important that we tell this story
Yeah.
despite it being not a good story.
Correct.
And I wish that we had had more, even though it was a bad story. Anyway, she and Hitler marry in a small civil ceremony in his bunker. The event was witnessed and the marriage certificate was signed by Goebbels. So again, how are you so hair flick, doe-eyed that you're like, this is fine. He's not a bad guy. And how are people not thinking, yeah, you're a bad woman? They had a modest wedding breakfast and they were joined by other members of the Nazi party. And Eva's name was legally changed to Eva Hitler as of the night of the marriage. After 1 p.m. on April 30th, Braun and Hitler said goodbye to staff and members of the inner circle. They know the Red Army is closing in on them, essentially. Yeah. Later that afternoon, they are both found deceased on a small sofa by members of the SS. Hitler had shot himself and she had taken a cyanide pill. Yeah.
Not the Romeo and Juliet ending.
Christ, no.
Or to her, I mean, I would imagine to her it was the Romeo and Juliet ending.
It's like this tragic love
story. To her, this is the most tragic love story, and it's her Romeo and Juliet ending. That you love somebody so much that you would take these steps and then just end your life.
If it was anybody else, if it wasn't this horrible woman married to this god-awful man, I'd feel a bit bad for her. I'd feel really sad for her chasing this man.
I feel that she was very brainwashed. Very brainwashed.
If it was anybody else, I would feel bad for her because she's chasing this man who was not interested. And then she's marrying him. He's finally interested. But it's only because you're going to die together because he is a terrible man and does not want to be killed by anybody else but his own hand. If it was anybody else, I'd be like, oh, God, that's awful. But it's not in this instance.
When they died, he was 56. She was 33.
She was so young.
She was a baby.
But she also knew better because she knew what
at 33? Yeah, you should know better.
And it's very strange because her parents, again, it's never mentioned if her parents were this way politically inclined.
Yeah.
You have to imagine that they were, because
like that they were okay with this.
To seek out this job.
Yeah, with both of their children being involved in the Nazi Party.
Yeah, I think they had 4 children, and it was both the daughters that are involved with the SS and the Third Reich and the Axis powers and what have you. They don't. Again, like, yes, I know this is an awful, awful story to talk about and to learn about. I wish there was more. Because again, her parents did this. They had 4 children. And now, by the way, they're now involved.
Right.
With the Third Reich. And she's 17. But that's all we know. On 11th of May 1945, the dental remains of both bodies were identified by 2 of Hitler's dental assistants.
Their bodies were burned, right?
Yes,
so they were, the SS finds them.
Yeah.
And moves their bodies, but then their bodies were burned during the Red Army's shelling of the area that they have now invaded in Munich.
But it's been disputed if the remains were Braun's because of the number of teeth that the dentist examined.
And that's not to say that the rest of the teeth weren't just lost.
That's true, yeah. This part of the remains only had 11 teeth, but upon her last and most recent examination, she had all her teeth. So no one's entirely sure if that was actually them. I think they may have lied just to say, yep, we found him. And he's burned, and here's the proof. Here's the record of his death. The rest of Braun's family survived the war, I assume, purely because of who their daughters were involved with.
With the exception of her sister Gretel's husband, who was executed for trying to flee.
Yeah, I believe it was right after D-Day. Her husband, who she had essentially been in an arranged marriage with, so that Hitler could introduce people as this man's sister-in-law.
Right.
He tried to flee alone, and they found him and they executed him.
Jesus.
So after all that, what was the point? What was the point? Gretel remarried, and she had a daughter that she named after her sister. I believe they all remained in Germany their whole lives.
Imagine growing up being the little girl named after Hitler's side piece.
But then again, I don't know if the family were like into it. I don't know if they were into the fold. I don't know if they were, but I would love people's opinions on it, because
Yeah,
with the facts that we've had presented to us, it seems that because it isn't mentioned, the family was not involved,
right.
but then they were brought into the fold because their daughter got a job. And I'm not having that she did not know what she was getting into.
You have to know.
You have to know. And like, I'm not, 17 is incredibly young, but it's not young enough to be stupid. It's not young enough to not ask people. You're not too young to think about what you're doing before you act at 17.
Somebody like Anne Frank, who was younger than Eva Braun at the time that the war began,
Yeah.
was very
Had more sense.
hyper aware of everything that was going on.
Yep.
And Eva Braun is like, didn't know. She was feather-brained, a little innocent, a little scatterbrained, didn't really get it. I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that.
Was she?
Unless that was just her,
Did she present herself that way?
did
to
she
him?
present herself as, an airhead? Was part of the scheme.
Yeah.
Was that part of her game?
Because of course he thought that women had no place in politics. He thought women belonged in the kitchen and raising babies and what have you.
So if she plays like she's
that why she played
disinterested,
the
then she's got
part?
his attention because that's the kind of woman
Yeah.
he's got his eye on.
And like
If
she
she,
said, she was very manipulated by him.
yeah, she was. She was very manipulated by him.
So she changes her whole demeanor to keep him interested. And then when he's not interested, just tries to kill herself.
It's just a very lost sense of self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mentioned earlier on in the episode that she was, I hate to use the word gifted for this woman, but she was very good at being a photographer, and a lot of her home movies and pictures are on the National Archives. So they can be viewed. If you type in her name, you will find videos and her pictures.
There's no doubt that she might have been a very talented photographer.
Yeah, like a lot of it looks great.
I don't think one feeds into the other necessarily,
like
but it's just it's an odd word to use when describing somebody like that. Oh, she was talented.
Yeah.
Or oh, she was pretty.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, if you did not know that she was filming members of the most evil party in history, you would think, oh, this is a bunch of friends just having a wild time. And Germany looks beautiful. It's so green. And the way that it's been filmed and restored, the colors of where they are, it's gorgeous.
It's almost like she wanted to document what Germany looked like before Hitler destroyed it.
Yeah, pretty much. You know the scene in Band of Brothers where they're all up at Eagle's Nest?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that.
Wow.
Mountainous, green, lush. So that's why if you do not know who you're looking at, you would not think it is members of the Third Reich. You would not think these are members of the SS.
Yeah.
You would think it's just a bunch of friends having a nice time during the summer. But I'm kind of glad that that part of history has not been lost. You can go and see what it was like before. But I think you are completely correct with the fact that he manipulated her and her whole demeanor changed, and there's no evidence of her parents taking action. I sort of think they were too caught up in their own troubles, and she took the job in order to help them financially.
Right.
But then again, you go home and you say, hey mom, hey dad, I'm now working for Hitler's personal photographer. Oh, and I'm also his model. I'm also his muse. You're not going to be like, cracking, thanks for bringing home some rent. No.
But in a time, maybe in a time like that, in that time, you're post World War I,
Yeah.
Maybe they saw it as, well, if she continues, maybe whatever might be happening, whatever might be unfolding, if my daughter is involved,
It won't happen to us.
safety by association, right? We'll be
Yeah.
safe by association of Ava and then eventually Gretel. So maybe
I do
that's why
not.
her parents didn't.
Maybe, yeah.
This is all hypothesis at this point. So maybe that's why they didn't say, no, don't do
Yeah.
this. No, you have to stop. They figured it would secure their safety.
And ultimately, it did. But I would
Yeah.
not be able to. I wouldn't be able to sit with that.
No.
That's just me. So that also again tells me that her parents were a couple of bad sticks too. Because if they're
Right. The
not like, oh my
consequence
God,
of
no.
saying, yeah, this is going to secure our safety, but at what cost? Now your daughter's dead.
Yeah. And she has killed herself with the man who has committed the most atrocious war crimes
Yeah.
ever in the history of time.
Yeah.
How are we all okay with this? How are we all, oh yeah, this is fine. I don't.
Yeah.
This has been one of the ones where I have sat through it and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't
I don't
understand
get the
any of
logic.
this. Yeah, I'm like, what?
Normally,
Huh?
normally I can read something, right? History is, not that history is linear. We talked about this
Right.
with Jeff, that,
Yes.
one event could bring something that's 50 years old to the
Hmm.
surface
Yeah.
in similarity. So history, while it might be linear on the timeline of it happened here, it happened here, it happened here, it's
Correct.
still ever kind of rolling. History
Hmm.
is, a thing that comes and
Ever
goes. And
evolving.
yeah, ever evolving, ebbs and flows.
Hmm.
Normally, I can grasp just about anything. I can read it a couple times,
Yeah.
understand it. I can't grasp the logic here.
I can't make it work. I
I
can't make
can't,
it fit together.
especially I think as a woman, I can't wrap my head around the
Yeah.
why.
And as someone, like I mentioned earlier, as someone who has been in such a relationship where I was young and my mind was very molded into having a certain demeanor and a certain look and a
Right.
certain mood around this person. However, I had enough sense to realize if this person was as evil
Hmm.
as this man, I would have, there was still some sense in my
Yeah.
brain. There was still, even though it was overtaken by being taken advantage of and being
Yeah.
manipulated, I
Hmm.
still had some kind of common sense in my head, like, oh, this man's committing genocide against Jewish people.
Yeah.
Maybe I should take a step back. Maybe
Yeah.
I should start planning an escape. But then again, when you think this literally just came to me, when you think about it, her parents have remarried because of financial difficulties, and he's giving her a home. He's giving her and her sister
Yeah.
shelter, which is adds even more to the manipulation.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a
It's
way,
like
I'm
he's trying to
starting to make
disguise
sense of it
himself as a good person
as a
to them.
hero.
Yeah.
Like he saved
Oh, I
her,
rescued you. I put a roof over your head.
and
I'm
she
gonna
has
rip
to
all
hold
these
against
people.
her.
I'm gonna rip all these other people out of their homes.
But you
But you
can't
get a
keep
roof over your head. Once again, I can't comprehend
can't
the
can't do
why.
it. There's something else I wrote down during our research, and I would like to end with this. It's her bland indifference to the world her boyfriend was destroying that makes her such a sinister figure. So we went into this being like, was she evil? Was she not? Everyone make their own decision. I
She
wrote
was. I think she
I wrote that
was.
down. I know
Yeah,
I think she was.
she
That's what
was.
makes her
Yeah,
guilty by association.
absolutely.
But I would love everyone's opinion. I would love to know how our
Absolutely.
listeners feel about this story. I think we're going to spend some time trying to make sense of the course of events.
Yeah.
We're going to try and spend some time figuring out
There's
the
a lot to
why.
unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack with this one.
So, and if you have information that we might have missed, let us
Yeah,
know
let's
because
share it.
once again, we want to make sense of it. We want to understand it fully.
Yeah,
That's not to say we're not sitting here saying, I don't understand it. We understand what
we understand the
happened.
story, but the logic behind
The
it
logic
is
is where
like.
we still can't grasp it.
But
So
I'm glad that we did this one.
I'm
I'm
glad we
glad that we
covered
had the
this. This
facts
is
in front of
important. This
us.
is all very
Very,
important
very
stuff because it's
important.
part of history.
The war was not just all, cute hair and
Yeah, it wasn't
UFO
just,
dances and
girls in uniforms and, pretty Red Cross girls handing out donuts. It had
women
an
made
ugly, it had an ugly side
yeah,
to it. War is ugly.
War's ugly, and in some cases, women did make history, but for the wrong reasons.
Correct.
So I would love to know everyone's opinion on this. Where do you stand? Do you feel like she was manipulated? Do you feel like she already had this mean streak in her that she followed through with him? Do you feel like it was a case of them stroking each other's egos and it ended very, very terribly? Yeah, let us know. I'd love to know people's opinions. Until next time, thank you for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.